Let's go into the associate doctor, and the associate doctor is a really interesting category. If you do it right, it's phenomenal. Most associate doctors don't work. I tell you, I think the stats are like 67% or something like that. Most don't work. And the reason they don't work are the topics we're going to cover right now. Typically, the doctor doesn't know how to hire. He doesn't know what business model to do. He doesn't know how to train. And that's why they typically don't work. But when you know how to hire, you have systems, and you know how to train, it's phenomenal. And that's what you're going to see right now. So what are the associate doctor profits? Well, how an average associate doctor seeing only patient visits? And I lowball this. Only 80 visits a week at a $50 per visit creates over $500,000 a year in assets. See, what people forget is the leverage. So one of the first benefits of the associate doctor is freedom, time. That's a great benefit. It becomes more valuable for you the older you are in practice. But the numbers, 80 patient visits a week at a $50 per visit, annually that's 208. If you did 50-50, now we don't do 50-50 in the beginning. It's less in the beginning because we'll charge a certain amount that's debited against, and we get that back. Then they move into 50-50, 55, 60, 65, or even up to 70, depending on how much money they collect. So for the associate doctor, and we'll show you, it's well worth it. Our associate doctor programs are phenomenal. I always say they can do better in our program than if they were on their own, and you'll see why. But here's the deal. If it was the money only, that's $104,000 50-50, okay? Freedom's pretty important, money. Now that's at 80 visits at a $50 per visit, so you can do your math. But I will tell you, you can expect most associate doctors to see about 80 to 120 patient visits a week. They're not going to be go-getters, okay, generally speaking. How much deposit to buy a $150,000 rental home? See, the key with making a lot of money with associates is the money they make is not the money you need. You should not need any money from your associate doctor. If you do, you got a problem. You got a big spending problem. If you think of the associate doctor's money as your real estate investment money, so now you not only have freedom, you leverage your time, but it's leverage. Leverage money, leverage time. It's double leverage. Okay? That's where you create freedom and wealth. That's the freedom and wealth package right there. That's the easiest freedom and wealth package there is, in my opinion, in chiropractic. I've looked at a lot of stuff, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money doing all kinds of different things. But the thing you can control and that you know a lot about, it works real well. And associate doctors, especially in your office, you can control, and then you take that money and leverage it into real estate. That's a phenomenal. That's freedom and wealth right there. That's the easiest path to freedom and wealth. Okay? So, how much does it deposit? So again, when you take that $100,000, how much real estate can you buy? Well, that depends on your knowledge, right? You guys now know you can buy properties for nothing. You now know how it works. Okay? The less you know, the more money it costs you. So I always say, if you don't know much about owner financing and the negotiation and all that stuff, and you go through mortgages and stuff, you'll triple your money. If you put a third down, you know how easy it is to get loans if you put a third down on real estate? So if you have $100,000 you made from your associate doctor, and it was a third down, which is very easy to get real estate, that cash flows really well, how much did you just increase your assets? $300,000, right? See how easy that was? So if you have more knowledge, you can increase that ratio 5 to 1. So if it's 5 to 1, $100,000, $500,000. I just showed you how to increase your income 10 to 1. Did I not? We just talked about real estate. You now know how to buy properties with no money down, little money down. We just gave an example here of buying a house for $8,000. How real was that example? That was real. That was a real example. Okay? So when you learn how to do real estate, you can buy it 10 to 1. So you take $100,000, buy real estate, that's $100,000. And when you learn how to buy the real estate in a self-directed IRA, it's tax-free. It's 100% tax-free. Okay? So that's why I always say, for me, one associate doctor to me was worth $1 million a year. I can easily get him to make see 80 visits a week, split it 50-50. He's making, by the way, how happy are associate doctors if they're making at least $100,000 a year? Okay, pretty good. Okay, 100,000 here, turn it over into real estate. So that's why one associate doctor to me was easily worth $1 million. That's why. I knew how to hire him, I knew how to train him, then I knew how to take the money and go buy real estate. That's how I retired at age 33. It was not from practicing chiropractic. Now, I had to know how to run a successful, profitable practice to bring the associate doctor on to train the associate doctor. You see, everything started with knowing how to run the business. And too many people, and we talked about this, try to run and do everything else before they learn how to get new business, keep new business, deal with overhead and fees, past their ability. Most self-employed people, chiropractors, etc., don't know how to create and keep more business than they physically can handle. And then they run and chase everything else instead of investing in themselves to increase their knowledge and skill to have the ability to do that.